Over 1 billion devices are powered by the Windows operating system. It's a global success story, but with that success comes great responsibility. And the question is, how has Windows lived up to this responsibility? While some users can simply not be separated from the OS, others call it spyware and believe it is outright garbage. In fact, after our recent video on programs you should never install, the comments poured in and they were crazy. We got this, and lots more. So, is it all doom and gloom for Windows? Should you abandon ship and maybe sail off with Linux? In this video, we explore the good, bad, and ugly. The truth is the truth, and facts do not lie. So, let's look at some key elements associated with Windows. What if I told you that every click, every search, every moment on your Windows device is being silently recorded? Here is what one of my viewers had to say regarding software you should never use. You missed the biggest privacy offender of all time, Microsoft. I was a beta tester for Windows 10. MS had a keyboard logger, so supposedly they could see what you typed before Windows 10 crashed. It was supposed to be removed with the official public release of Windows 10. Well, it never got removed. I use Spybit Anti-Beacon, and it is currently redirecting over 340 beacons, as MS calls them, to the null bucket. MS is by far the worst privacy invader by using their Windows OS to track and sell users' telemetry data. I removed their Edge browser from my system completely. It was not easy either. I don't trust their firewall or their antivirus software. I also do not use a MS account to log on to my Windows 10 or Windows 11 machines. Always use a local account. Use a secure browser like Brave. MS thinks they own your PC and you are just along for the wild ride. I'm sure there are many who have this much distrust for Microsoft and the Windows OS. The sad part in all this is that you voluntarily gave permission to this. You know those license agreements? Those endless walls of text you scroll through and click accept without a second thought? That's your digital equivalent of signing away your privacy in blood. Take a look at this legal masterpiece from the Microsoft License Terms document. Your privacy is important to us. By accepting this agreement and using the software, you agree that Microsoft may collect, use, and disclose the information as described in the Microsoft Privacy Statement. But what does this translate to? Well, we're going to watch everything you do, and you just said yes. But here's the real kicker. They claim you can opt out. This is somewhat true. In fact, we did this video showing how you may stop Microsoft from spying on Windows 11. There are certain settings that you can turn off, and while this is not a 100% no spying guarantee, it is kind of efficient. And I say kind of because this is not a total no spying guarantee. In fact, after every major update, guess what magically reappears? All those data collection toggles switch back on. You're right back to square one, with Microsoft's data-hungry algorithms tracking your digital life. Let's talk numbers. Windows can collect up to 25,000 individual data points per hour. That's not a typo. 25,000 pieces of information about you, every single hour. What exactly are these data points? Your typing speed and pattern, exact time spent in each application, every single website you visited, your device's location, hardware specifications, performance metrics, even your microphone and camera usage logs. If this does not scare you, nothing else would. This isn't just data collection. This is a digital surveillance system that you're willingly running on your own device. So when someone calls Windows 11 spyware, they might not be entirely wrong. The term thrown around when your data is taken by these big organizations is telemetry, and it simply means gathering information from devices and applications to improve performance, enhance user experience, or debug issues. Who can have an issue with this? Well, here are the problems. While you agreed to this the moment you bought and installed Windows, you had no clue of the actual extent to it. Windows doesn't just collect basic information. It creates a comprehensive digital profile of your entire computing experience. The scale of this invasion should bother you. Microsoft can reconstruct your digital life with very good accuracy. They know exactly what programs you use, how long you use them, and when you use them. With Microsoft, there is what is at best a consent illusion. So, opt-out is a myth. Default settings are designed to maximize data collection. Completely disabling telemetry breaks core Windows functionalities, and like we said earlier, each update resets your privacy settings. But probably the worst part of telemetry is the commercial exploitation. Your data isn't just for improvement. It is a multi-billion-dollar asset. It easily gets sold to advertisers and used for targeted marketing. Microsoft Corporation's global search advertising revenue increased year on year in the fiscal years from 2016 to 2024. In 2024, Microsoft generated around $12.58 billion in revenue from search advertising. In fact, Microsoft telemetry is so bad that some European countries have labeled Windows telemetry as GDPR non-compliant. And this mandatory data collection violates fundamental privacy principles. The real question isn't just what they collect. It's why they collect it and who really benefits. Taking all we have discussed above into account, you may be too scared to turn on your computer again. Maybe that is a good thing, but you would be naive to believe Windows 11 is the only problem. You face similar issues using other Microsoft services like Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Teams, Skype, Bing, etc. But before saying goodbye, remember that we have approximately 1.4 billion active Windows devices worldwide. Why are so many people still using it? The answer lies in a brutal reality of modern computing. Practicality trumps privacy. Windows is an ecosystem that has become the backbone of global productivity. A large chunk of corporate systems run on Windows. Critical software like Adobe Creative Suite, AutoCAD, and enterprise management tools are Windows native. So, switching means potential career disruption. Software universality is another reason why Microsoft is relevant, and this is not changing soon. Windows also leads in the number of PC software developed. Linux and macOS often get watered down or delayed versions. This kind of compatibility isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Windows also dominates the PC gaming world. Nearly half of all Steam users are using Windows 11. In fact, they often get exclusive game releases. And also, because most people learning computers start on Windows, changing means relearning entire workflows, and there is a psychological resistance to change. So, what is the uncomfortable truth? For most people, the convenience of Windows outweighs its privacy concerns. I'm not saying accept invasive practices. I'm saying it is important to understand the trade-offs. Let's face it, Windows isn't garbage. It serves in its own unique ways. But the way we use tools changes when we start seeing the hidden costs. While privacy might seem like a side issue to some, it's becoming the central battleground for many. So, is it time to make the switch? As someone who uses Windows, Linux, and macOS, I see the strengths and weaknesses of each ecosystem. But here's why I think it's worth considering a move away from Windows, and why Linux should be on your radar. 1. True ownership of your system. Windows isn't just an operating system. It's a controlled environment. You may have bought the license, but you don't own Windows in the truest sense. With Windows, you're locked into a system where only Microsoft knows the code running on your device. That means you have to trust them blindly with your data, your privacy, and your security. Contrast that with Linux. It's open source, meaning anyone can inspect the code. This transparency fosters trust. If there's a privacy concern in Linux, someone in the global community will spot it, and fixes are often implemented within hours. 2. Privacy, the ultimate freedom. Data collection is the default Windows setting, but on Linux, you're in control from the moment you install it. Linux distributions don't collect telemetry unless you specifically opt in. No data collection toggles to hunt for, no post-update surprises, just pure control. With Linux, your data stays where it belongs, on your device. There's no centralized system phoning home to a corporate server. And this is the case because, unlike Windows, where decisions are influenced by shareholder interests, Linux is maintained by a community of developers whose primary focus is user empowerment, not ad revenue. Reason number 4, security that's built in. You may also have noticed that Windows is a magnet for malware, not because it's inherently insecure, but because its dominance makes it a bigger target. Linux, by design, is significantly harder to exploit. Its permission-based architecture makes it incredibly difficult for malicious software to gain control. You don't need a resource-hogging antivirus program running in the background. Linux distributions are often lightweight, with fewer unnecessary services running. This minimizes potential vulnerabilities. And when a security issue is identified in Linux, it's patched almost immediately by the global community. Compare that to Windows, where you often wait weeks for a fix. And maybe the most important reason to make the switch is that it is free. That said, if you find yourself tied to Windows, whether by necessity or obligation, it's worth exploring ways to minimize your reliance on Microsoft's ecosystem. In our next video, we'll share practical tips to help you reclaim control while staying within the Microsoft environment. But these are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. Do you still use Windows? If so, what keeps you there? And if not, what features or values are most important to you when choosing an OS? If you made the switch from Windows, I am also curious to know what you missed the most. Let's discuss in the comments. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and take charge of your digital life. Cheers!